This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Shake them ropes, Jeff Hawkins, Chris Novembrino, the most underrated voice on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
America's secret, baby.
America's secret. I was gonna do this entire show in Jericho commentary voice, but I think it would probably become an old bit after like 3 minutes. And
Happy to be here today, Jeff.
Let's talk podcast etiquette, Chris, shall we?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I am so ready to talk about this. So, like, where shall we begin? Do you want to begin with being a good guest on the show, or do you want to begin with booking co-hosts? Because we can go in either direction. It's a bifurcated, trifurcated, multifurcated process.
Chris and I are having a bit of a debate that we want you, the listener, to solve for us. Now, here's the situation. Chris will not be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when a host or co-host has a planned absence for a show, does the honor go to the person remaining on the show to get a co-host, or is it up to the host to get a replacement for that person? Now, I, your lovable, snuggly America's sweetheart of a podcast host, thinks that the person who is doing the show should be able to choose who they work with, and then if they can't find anybody, hey, do you have any ideas? Chris has volunteered someone, a lovely person
with radio experience, who follows the product close. Yeah, okay. and has followed the product closer than I do.
Okay.
And so is highly qualified for the position. But real quickly, too, listeners, I hope you have pen and paper here, because there's another important question that I would like you guys to consider here. Do you think in a show with multiple people that it's important to consult both hosts when you're booking a guest on the show? Now you
wait a second. When did I never consult you?
I would like to bring you back to the case of one Rob McCarran, who I was told was going to be on the show. And then, and this is where I think Cody will really over-deliver, he did not even complete the entire episode. So one thing that Cody really has going for him here, dear listeners, is that Cody will do the entirety of the show and will be more prepared than I am.
Okay, well, no, Rob McCarran's a different beast, because he is the creator of this show. He is not a guest. He is the
No. This is kind of like a Cliff Burton, Jason Newsted thing. No, it's like a Cliff Burton, Jason Newsted thing. The band never acknowledged Newsted, even though he did more shows. And I get it.
What is young Cody's last name? Because you refer to him as your son so much, I almost called him Cody Novembrino is going to be here.
I think I'll let Cody decide what last name Cody's going with.
You don't know it, do you?
No, I do know it, but Cody has been playing around. It's like many of my Nove gimmicks. I have to respect them, or others have to respect them, and if you break the Nove kayfabe, then some of the mystique goes away. Cody has his own little kayfabes. And you're gonna find it to be just fantastic.
Okay. So the experiment next week will be Jeff and Cody doing Shake Them Ropes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down. I can.
Here's the thing, listeners. Let me ask you this: don't you think I'm entitled to listen to a show that I like? Shouldn't I enjoy listening to Shake Them Ropes? And I think Cody will be true to the brand, and not be focused entirely on getting himself over like some other guests.
Let me answer that question. I have family that doesn't even enjoy listening to this show, so
this is why we gotta pad the stats, buddy.
Yeah,
someone has to like this show, and here's the thing: people don't necessarily like me, so I think that this will be a market improvement.
A little bit of brand expansion for those who actually do like my audio. I don't know if that's even me sometimes, but I have accepted an invitation to start reviewing Dynamite over at Fight Game Network. I believe it's a pure Patreon type of place. It's run by Garrett Gonzalez, who does shows with Dave Meltzer and Figure 4 every week, but I'll be on there with Paul Fontaine for the foreseeable future, right after Dynamite, doing reviews, and I'll also be reviewing All Out for them. And we will be doing a preview here of All Out. I'm very excited about this pay-per-view. Starting with a little bit of sad news, Daphne Unger, late of WCW and I believe ECW as well, found dead late Thursday, early Friday, I believe it was. Dead by suicide. She had been live streaming on Instagram some very scary messages and had a gun that could be seen in that thing. Some ghouls were actually like rebroadcasting like GIFs and stuff from this. Don't do that. Daphne, kind of a hole in my wrestling fandom because that was when I was a bit lapsed. Late stage WCW, early ECW. Very well loved amongst women wrestlers, though. Women's wrestling to me has a lot of what I like to call that country music fandom in there because it's one of those things where they really respect their history. I mean, you saw just great tributes from people like Bayley and Ember Moon and Mia Yim and others. I thought WWE handled this well as well. They offer mental health counseling, and they said anybody who needs it can get it. Jake Atlas, very positive about the mental health that they offer for them because he used it for a few months. He goes, look, it really helped me through some times. Now, look, I get the cynicism. I get that some talent is like, because you watch these things like 24/7 and stuff like that, and you see what mind games that the company sometimes plays with talent. So, you kind of scoff at WWE.
And there are
help.
the Vince quotes
Yes.
about how this stuff is public relations. And so, like, I go back and forth, and obviously we're looking at Jimmy Uso, a guy who very much needs this stuff and is instead getting pushed really heavily right now. But at the same time, I'm kind of with you, where it's like, if people are saying they're getting it and it's helping them, we ought to just take what they're saying at face value because it's not like you could possibly know better. It seems very simple. Like I saw that Carl Anderson tweet this week, and I know that he's been heavily excoriated.
It's not the time to take your shots at people because
but it's
people
also
are
wrong. It's also wrong. How do you know that the specific mental health treatment that WWE is offering for free is not quality? You don't. You have no way of saying that because you're not actually doing it. If you had if you could even say with authority, I had some friends who called me up who were still at the company and they said that like this is not like what you think it is. That's one thing, but that's not even what he's saying. It's just a dude throwing stones from across the street, and at the absolute worst time.
And yeah, I'm gonna say it's at the absolute worst time. But I'm not gonna say, look, Carl Anderson has every right to throw stones at the WWE, especially after the company trapped him in Saudi Arabia on a plane for multiple hours. Don't get me wrong, he has an axe to grind the size of Paul Bunyan with the company. But there's a time and place for that, and it's not right after someone beloved in the wrestling community, like Daphne was, kills herself. It's not the time.
You have to focus it, right?
Yes.
Like why lash out at WWE's mental health services when they're offering what you would expect AEW to offer after such a tragedy?
In terms of in-ring stuff, there's not a lot that really burns in my brain. I know she was with Crowbar in the late stages of WCW and then eventually fought Crowbar for, I believe, the hardcore title in WCW. I know she was in TNA for a while when the Knockouts division was growing and pretty good. But this might be someone more from your generation. Chris, do you have any strong recollections of that?
Other than, like, I watched a lot of late stage WCW because I was a WCW, not WWF guy. And I mean, I remember Daphne from it. But, like, Crowbar's not someone I have really particularly vivid memories of either, other than you were like, Crowbar. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Crowbar. I remember Crowbar. But, like, what did Crowbar do? You know, he was like David Flair's guy. Like, you know, he was the dude with the crowbar in the one angle, and I don't even remember what that angle was.
But I will say this: if you are suffering from any adverse effects, if you watched this live stream and it was not pleasant, I remember I was on Twitter at the time, and everybody's like going, "Does anybody have her phone number? Does anybody know where she is?" I mean, that sense of panic that you see as this is being broadcast live, I would recommend talking to a counselor of some kind.
That's really rough stuff to see.
Yeah,
I have friends who work. There's a company down the way here that does. They go through a major social networking website and check to see if there are inappropriate videos. And the people who go through and do that vid screening and stuff, it's a really high turnover job. And I have a number of friends who have worked there. It's like a under $15 an hour job. And it's particularly traumatizing. You can't actually watch this stuff and really fully mentally seal yourself. These visuals and these images have a way of sort of like bubbling back up. So I just want to sort of echo what you said. Like, if you saw something that's unsettled you, you do need to talk about it and process it so that you can move on, because these images have a way of continuing to kind of like bubble up to the front of the surface.
Before this happened, my idea to start this show would be Chris doing a funeral dirge in honor of NXT, but of course that joke would not be appropriate at this time.
No.
But rumors are that Vince, Bruce, and Kevin Dunn will be producing NXT. These are conflicting reports. There was somebody from the WWE who told me that, and this matches reports of others being told, like Sean Ross Sapp from others, that this will not be a hands-on week-to-week Vince in Gorilla kind of producing, that they don't have the time for that. So my speculation is that there's now going to be a big picture for NXT in terms of a vision and what they mean to the company. And I think that bears out, because if you watched this week's NXT, there was a theme going on, Chris. That theme was large prospects against older veterans. Especially on the male side. There's also a theme on Raw. If you were watching, it was people of size in every single match, it seemed. I think Vince is taking this AEW thing seriously, and I think he is going to go with what brought him to the dance, and that is spectacle.
That's what I think he intends on trying to hang on to. I think what he may be up against here is the changing nature of audiences. I think that you are already seeing some of those issues with the Becky and Bianca stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that these big guys, he's going to try to push these big guys, but if you keep trying to push big guys and nothing but big guys, eventually fans are going to latch on to little guys as the underdogs, and you're going to have a new Daniel Bryan of some sort. I worry that he is really trying to go against the grain on this one.
Yeah, for NXT, I just think they're going to be going, we need to work on these younger, bigger people. And you saw, I mean, the Creed brothers now being made a part of the Diamond Mine, focus on Duke Hudson. I won't call him Brendan Vink so bad, but his name is Duke Hudson. The Ridge Holland.
Yeah, the former Luke Menzies is now Ridge Holland. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, Ridge has been back for a while and doing this. I think Ridge is the best of this crop right now. Odyssey Jones is, of course, probably going to get a nice push, and your smaller guys are going to win your prospects tournament, but they're going to be
you're already seeing this with Carmelo Hayes, right? Like that promo on NXT was hilarious. Like, it's goober treatment. We have no plan for you. What am I going to do? I might do this. I might do that. And then, no, actually, because Legado del Fantasma has baited me into this, I'm going to have a feud over the North American title. That's what I'm going to do.
Use this contract for a secondary title. You always go for the world title. You always want to match up.
This is like playing chess, getting your pawn across the chessboard and try to be crafty by getting a bishop instead of the queen.
Can you do that?
You can. A pawn promotion can literally be any piece. It can be knight, bishop, rook, or queen. But you wouldn't do queen, but for some very strange reason. And if you weren't going to do queen, you would do knight. But you would have to be like super cagey, and then it'd have to be a really clever reason to do knight. Normally, you would just do queen.
I have literally not played chess in like 35 years, since the days of like battle chess on the PC, if you remember that game.
We've never talked about it, but there was a chess club era in young Novi's life.
Someday.
I used to play.
Are there photos? Are there photos of young chess club Chris?
I had my mom swear to secrecy. I burn it. I'll have to go back to the parents' house.
Was this your choice or your parents' choice?
No, I was into it.
What, big, like, searching for Bobby Fischer was like your Star Wars or something?
No, but I did see that movie, and like it was like, oh, chess is cool, but then like I got really into it because it's like everything in my personality. Like when I get into something, I get like really into it. And sometimes that passes, but like sometimes it's like guitar and it just like sticks forever, or like this thing that we do here. That's just my personality.
You're a wrestling fan, Hawkins. What are you making fun of the chess club for? What next?
I don't know. You
gonna go after the ham radio kids next? Yes, yeah. I am. I just no. I could never memorize the moves. I wish I could do that a little bit more. I will just play by feel.
No, that's the thing that is my issue too. Is like I knew openings, and now I kind of like I only know a couple, and they're so obvious.
If you want size, you can look no further than the new group of signings at the Performance Center. Bobby Stevenson, the older brother of Gable Stevenson. Ben Buchanan, 6'4", 250, 20 years old, the son of Bull Buchanan. Brady Booker, 6'3", 245, former middle linebacker at the University of South Dakota. And one Joseph Fatu, the younger brother of Rikishi. Joshua Dawkins, the nephew of former NFL superstar or NBA superstar Daryl Dawkins, aka Chocolate Thunder. And Jessica Woynilko, a former gymnast and CrossFit / Olympic weightlifting. She's 21 and she's more muscular than I could have ever hoped to be. Everything else checks the Vince boxes, if you know what I mean, Chris. Blonde. But we had people of size coming into the PC, and it looks like a lot of these moves were let's put it this way, we're keeping in the family in many, many ways, or at least people associated with famous people are gonna get signed to contracts. Any thoughts, or should we move on?
I gotta be honest, I don't have like profound thoughts about these new people.
Most of these people,
like,
hold on,
they might be okay. They might be okay,
yeah.
But my big problem is it's going to lend itself to a much slower match type. And I just think if they really get far along on this plan, ultimately WWE shows are going to be really plodding.
Outside of the Federation, we'll get back to them in a second. Ring of Honor announced that Roosh will be out of action for the rest of 2021, having knee surgery. This is a heck of a blow. This is also a very underrated blow, because I think Roosh was on track to getting a little bit more fame here and then jumping over to AEW, Chris.
I gotta be honest, I do not watch Ring of Honor, so
okay.
Like it's. I mean, I watch NWA, but I don't.
I put the news on here just to put the news.
No. Tell me about Roosh. Like, what kind of wrestler is he?
Roosh, obviously heavy into the luchador style. Former member of Los Ingobernables down there with one now known as Andrade and others. He was an original member of them. I was saying they're gonna basically put Los Ingobernables back in AEW eventually, but this, of course, he's gonna have some more
Cody
time.
Probably knows who Roosh is.
Okay, I watched Roosh in Mexico. I forget if it's CMLL or AAA. I know people are yelling right now. I don't. It's one of those things where Mexican wrestling blends together for me because it's on all day Saturday in Los Angeles. Like if you turn on the TV from 9 a.m.
That's kind of dope. I wish I had a channel. Like I probably do. I just don't actually have my
you can
TV
see,
hooked.
yes, it's
Yeah.
on all day here in Los Angeles. So it's one of those things where it's great, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I can't remember federations and who's where and stuff. If I were a better fan, I admit I do that. Speaking of the NWA, a little bit in your wheelhouse, a couple of pay-per-views last weekend, the Empower pay-per-view, and then the one from the Chase in St. Louis. I forget the name of it, but Empower. Got to see some of that. Pretty good all-women's pay-per-view for what it was. But Trevor Murdoch is now your NWA champion, Chris. Little surprising for him to be the face of a franchise, but it's also kind of cool because I've always liked Trevor Murdoch.
I like Trevor Murdoch. I thought that his follow-up promo this week was good. Look, whatever the size of your fan base is, what is important is that you have baby faces and heels who resonate in the right directions with that fan base. And NWA's fan base is on board with the Trevor Murdoch push. So, cool. I think it will be interesting to see how they reset Nick Aldis. It'd be interesting to see who Murdoch goes up against. I guess like maybe a guy like Kratos might end up getting a push at some point. He's a guy I kind of have like penciled in there as like he'd be a good Trevor Murdoch guy. And look, NWA is still very watchable to me. I think like you see the way people watched Empower and they're like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, like look, they've had some hiccups along the way. Promotions have hiccups along the way. Ultimately, you just got to decide if you, on balance, enjoy the thing that you're watching or not watching. This is the thing that every TNA fan was telling you for the better part of 15 years.
In a sign of definitive surrender to me, WWE Japan LLC officially closed its doors. I think part of this is that it's just no longer needed as well because I mean, New Japan is not as hot as it used to be.
No,
let's face it.
There's no longer a front on that side to be worried about. If we're talking 5-6 years ago, WWE needs to have some sort of plan for a rising New Japan with stars that have the ability to have transnational appeal. Stars like Kenny Omega, now Prince Devitt, but now Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, the Young Bucks, like I've named Kota Ibushi. They had a legitimate squad of people and Tanahashi to come over to the United States and really build out a New Japan America. The New Japan America plan fizzled, and now WWE WWE did do Beast in the East, which was actually like really good. Might I just say, Beast in the East, when we're looking back on the last decade,
underrated.
One of the better shows of the last decade.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like kind of unfortunate because I wish that this thing had gotten a little more off the rails because I think we would have gotten at least a few more good shows out of it. But also, look, this is a company that's clearly trying to sell. I mean, you don't have Nick Khan going out there and doing all these press availabilities if you're not, and talking about how we're not trying to sell, if you're not trying to put the word and the verb sell into the air. And the Japan front is no longer relevant, so it makes sense as a cost-cutting measure, and it's also a vestige of a problem that's no longer there. Now the problem is domestic. It's AEW.
Yeah, and if you look at New Japan's, for lack of a better term, attempt to expand here in North America, it's an issue. There are growing pains within there. New Japan's strong. It's a good little show. Don't get me wrong. It has talent. Daniel Garcia's on it. I believe Josh Walking Weapon.
But Daniel Garcia's on everything.
Yeah, I mean they have people, but there's not. Ticket sales are down. I mean, they on this latest tour, they're doing a show in Philadelphia at the former ECW arena, and MLW is outdrawing them in that building. They did that show here in LA. I was told there were people there, but wasn't a lot of people there. The market's saturated right now, especially with so much television product from AEW now adding into the already expansive television product of WWE. I think New Japan America is going to be a failed experiment. overall.
Yeah, no, it has to be. I think a core part of New Japan America was having Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks as part of it. So, like, when we're talking about why New Japan America is failing, part of your answer, a big part of your answer is AEW. Losing Shinsuke Nakamura was bad at the time, but that's more of a bad 3 years ago thing versus a bad right now thing, because like Nakamura's kind of like on the downside. Ditto with Balor. Balor's still got some tread left on the tires, but like it's not as bad as losing the Bucks and Omega, who were really going to be the linchpins to making New Japan America something that like actually had the attempt to like maybe dent and like get some sort of network deal.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it totally just derailed anything that they were going to be going for. And then they said, well, we have this now. We have to keep going with it. No, you don't. The training center will do. I mean,
but like that, this is the nature of the sunk cost fallacy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a broad-based thing. You think, okay, we'll press ahead and we'll figure it out. But like when the circumstances change, the plan has to change too. And these aren't all just like replaceable cogs in a machine. Losing a guy like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, there aren't just like the Young Bucks tree that you can shake and get another tag team that can work at the level that you need to have a really good, successful North American expansion.
The one under the radar positive for this, in my opinion, possibly, is that they decide they no longer need Kairi Sane on the payroll as a goodwill ambassador to WWE Japan. And maybe, just maybe, she decides she wants to work again. And maybe, just maybe, she goes to a decent company like AEW. Maybe. I'm just throwing that out there.
Although Kairi Sane would absolutely keep taking the ambassador to WWE Japan that is now defunct job just for the amusement of getting a check to be an ambassador to an organization that does not exist.
Look, there is nothing wrong with a no-show job and getting paid for it. I am here for that kind of thing. It's like,
I would love to be the ambassador to a country that's no longer in existence.
Let's make a deal, Hawkins. I'm going to pay you to not do a job for a company that doesn't exist. How much work do I have to do? Absolutely nothing. I don't know. Twisting my arm here. You drive a hard bargain, though. I think I'm gonna be all over that, Chris. I think, hey, that's a hell of a deal. That, other than getting bought out, which is my dream, as you well know, that's a fantasy, though. That is just pure. Like if my company went under and they continued to pay me, that's just too good. I might be scared by something like that. Okay, so we're gonna end with the all-out preview. So let's do main roster, NXT, and then we can fold in all our AEW stuff on there. And a kind of a transition from Kairi, if we want to. Let's talk Nia and Charlotte. Now,
when you're talking about great wrestling, Kairi Sane and then Nia Jax come to top of mind.
Well, there's a reason for the transition. You may recall that Kairi Sane would occasionally get concussed and hurt when facing either Nia or Charlotte. And there was that one time when Charlotte didn't realize that Kairi was concussed and thought that she was being uncooperative. And so she started slapping around Kairi Sane, which is a no-no. Well, no, now we get the two biggest bullies on the block, almost literally, being uncooperative with each other in the middle of a nationally televised match in front of a sold-out arena for Raw. This was preceded by Nia Jax just absolutely potatoing Rhea Ripley on a run-in. That clothesline, that was a clothesline. That was a fist to the side of the head. I like Charlotte's physicality, but she can sometimes be, she can have some diva-ish qualities.
Shawn Michael-esque.
Yes, we'll go with that. Nia is terrible. I'm going to say this. I've never been a worker. I know that this is criticism that I should not be putting out there at all, because I know nothing of what she does. I just know.
No, that's wrong. You have been watching her work with a close critical eye for literally years, since she was in NXT. for us to, I get that we're not workers, but we're also not just a person who paid a ticket for Raw who watches Raw every once in a while either. I'm sorry. Like, I get having some respect, but at some point, some respect also has to be bequeathed to the people who watch this week in, week out with a critical eye. We've watched a lot of Nia Jax. She's not good.
She's unsafe is the big crime. I mean, she can be in a bad match and I'll watch it, but there were times where if I'm Charlotte, I'm punching her in the face. And the slaps I hope were real, but I mean, if we get to the back and there's not Nia begging for forgiveness for doing that throw where Charlotte's body was absolutely out of control at some point and she had to land at some point and Nia didn't take care of her. If there wasn't at least begging on the knees, I'm sorry, or let me buy you dinner or something, there better been a punch in the face in the backstage thing, because this is the kind of crap that can't go on. I don't care how you feel about each other.
Yeah, I mean, look, is the person who puts together Botchamania, Matthew, qualified to identify what is and isn't botches? I would say so. I saw with my own two eyes what was very clearly an unsafe botch that at an indie show would probably get you hit with boos for being that unsafe. You might break the show a little bit. Nia is unsafe at any speed and absolutely like she should be given the Xia Li treatment, in my opinion, and should have been given the Xia Li treatment a while ago. Disappear her.
I don't disagree, but like I said, brought up in the preamble, this theme of Raw and this first scene, you had Damian Priest, Sheamus, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre all in the ring together at one time. You had big men, and then you had the Viking Raiders getting involved with this, and then you had Rhea, Nia, and Charlotte all getting involved. This was Vince somehow. I think this is branding. I think these are where the big boys play.
Oh God! This is where the big boys play. It totally is. I know, but like you go back to the WCW stuff too back in the day. WCW at the time when they signed Hogan and they signed Savage, which is kind of paradoxical, but like put that to the side. With the Giant and Hogan and all, and even when Nash shows up and he goes, "This is where the big boys play." The whole reason that branding was brought about.
Check the adjective.
Check the adjective. Yeah, of course. But the whole reason that was brought about was because WWF at the time was pushing people like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, guys who were smaller. And WWF was going where the charisma was, where WCW, prior to the middle of 1996, was basically going with the big names and the big guys. So Hogan, yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's big and he looks like a wrestler. And Shawn Michaels couldn't stand side by side with him. And so we'll put him in the ring. The problem with that whole approach is that when everyone's about the same size, you lose a sense of scale.
Yes.
And one thing WWE has going for them is that like Damian Priest is a good worker, Drew McIntyre's a good worker. That Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest match, in my opinion, over-delivered. But it still, like, you don't necessarily feel the size of Damian Priest, nor do you feel the size of Drew McIntyre, nor do you feel the size of Sheamus. So what you're really then dependent on is these big guys to work like little guys. And I just, I don't know that you get the juice out of the squeeze with this lemon.
When Drew does that somersault over the top rope in, say, an American Legion Hall in Reseda for Bola, everybody lost their crap seeing that. When he does it in the WWE, he looks like a guy doing a move onto another guy. That's the problem with the
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome in the ECW presentation. I remember when I saw him, I was the right age and everything where this could really resonate. I saw him at like 13 or whatever doing some of those moves, and like he's so big, and Masato Tanaka is such a perfect foil, and those were such good matches. That Mike Awesome looked like almost godlike. I was like, how is this guy not pushed to the moon? He like really is awesome. Because he was doing all these big things. It worked with Rob Van Dam too. Scale matters. And it's one thing that I think WWE does not get at all, because their only answer with scale is big is best.
Meanwhile, you got anything else for Raw that you want to talk about here?
Let me see real quick. I'm just gonna
okay.
scan.
Well, while you're doing that,
our boy Dimples Carrillo once again eviscerated by Karrion Kross. Like, okay, here's what I was thinking during the Kross thing. It's like they did with Dimples Carrillo what they should have done like weeks ago, but it's already too late for Karrion Kross, and this guy is dead on arrival. I don't see this guy getting off the ground. And then, you know, look, Riddle and Randy Orton really over with people. Omos stinks. Like, you can't get a good match out of this guy, but they're going to keep trying with him, but he stinks.
He's big.
He's big. That's all you got going, and that's all I got for Raw. Raw stunk.
Okay, now, meanwhile on SmackDown, we are still going with this. I'd call it an experiment or challenge for Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has the challenge to be the heel in this feud. Big pop when her music came on, comes down, takes a powder when it's time to challenge. They are trying their best to sweeten the audio with booze. They are trying, but it's not quite covering up all the...
No, because the boos don't cover up the fact that she doesn't really do anything particularly heelish up until like the end, when she's like, I'm not going to have the match with you. And I think like if that's going to be their angle to turn her heel, it's literally going to take months.
It's too
multiple
subtle.
months.
It's too subtle right now.
Even 4 weeks is not going to be enough. It is literally going to take months, as in 6 to 8 weeks.
Let me ask you if you agree with this assessment, because I was watching that promo she was saying about what are you going to say you weren't ready? That's a Attitude Era babyface promo straight out of a Stone Cold or Rock type. Which is also the problem with her finishing move too. It's one of those things that people are going to pop when she can do it out of nowhere. And I see the wheels moving. I see what she's trying to do, and I respect it. I just don't think she's going to get there in time for Extreme Rules. I don't. I think Bianca Belair is being scripted like a dope. She needs to be giving more, because the crowd is... You know, she needs more fire in her response to Becky.
They screwed up already when they had Lynch duck out, and then later Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce confront her and tell her she's definitely having the match at Extreme Rules. It pulls all of the intrigue and all of the importance of the babyface chasing down Becky Lynch to get this match. Now the match has been booked, so that's like a major checkpoint that was accomplished without any real work done by the babyface herself. So it doesn't really give Bianca any sort of like point to grab on and kind of climb up and gain babyface sympathy, because now she's been handed the match by management.
Yeah, and on your point on Dimples Carrillo, let's talk a little Montez Ford. Even a little Bianca Belair. This new generation of stars. We tried with Bianca with the title, but we really didn't get behind her all that much as a huge star presence. That whole thing was about Sasha, and who knows where Sasha is, because one, Dave Meltzer's being very, very coy, because as we'll get to in the AEW All Out preview, Andrade versus Pac is off the card because Andrade has a quote similar situation to Sasha, and I'm not sure what this is, but I'd like to eventually know why one of our biggest stars...
I mean, let's really kind of think about this just for a second here, all of us as a group, and really think about like what could possibly be the parallel scenario that Sasha Banks and this other person in a different promotion in a very different situation have.
Of a different gender.
Of a different gender. Do you think it's booking patterns?
I think it has to do with needles. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it's weird, but Montez Ford was spectacular in that whole Uso thing. I thought that was pretty good. The Roman Finn match for what it was. I mean, I hate this story, because they do it so much. Heels come out, beat up the guy in there. They make him go through the match anyways. They almost give him the win and he gets hit in the nuts.
No, you know what the new thing I hate in the predictable WWE booking pattern is? The legwork. It is that whenever the babyface who's going to lose needs to make the heel seem vulnerable, it's legwork. It's legwork every single time. They kick the leg, and then the heel favors the leg for a bit, and that's the hope spot. That NXT, the main roster, it's always legwork. It's the same legwork.
For me, it's the holes in logic that we have. We have authority figures. And the Usos come out, they beat up half of the main event. And then we're not going to do nothing about that. Because, who cares? Who's really paying attention to this stuff?
The same group of authority figures who earlier in the night made sure to, ensure that Bianca Belair will have her match against Charlotte.
Tony Storm at least made TV.
It's certainly an interesting angle with Rick Boogs and Nakamura and Dolph Ziggler, and I thought Ziggler trying to be the cool guy who's like, oh yeah, Rick Boogs is a great guy. That was the only sort of fun thing of that was
a little SmackDown High School going on.
Yeah, a little SmackDown High School. Oh yeah, no, real nice guy. I'm wishing him well and stuff. Yeah, sure. Look, Boogs is connecting with people as you and I thought he would back in the day too. So this isn't a huge shock for me.
Underrated how much he'd connect on a main roster. I thought people would see through his inability to do stuff, but every time he's been in, I thought it was going to be a Mojo Rawley situation.
I feel you, but I think Elias sort of gave us a roadmap of look, people like a babyface guitar character, and Boogs plays guitar better than Elias, even if I don't necessarily think he's He's an intermediate at best guitar player. He has one lick that he keeps going to. He does it every single time he opens up. And that Ottawa is hiding a lot of mediocre playing. But look, the act is over with people going is enough for. I mean, look, this is wrestling.
Well, there's two things.
This is not my guitar lessons, which you can get if you want. Hit me up.
There's two things that I think he has going for him. Number one, McAfee putting him over strong. I think that helps quite a bit to get on. The other thing is when he's been put in the big spot, he hasn't been bad to me. He's shown power spots, which people will always be impressed with. He's thrown people around. There's a lot of.
And he's got a look. No, there's a lot of Billy Gunn there too.
He's not as athletic as Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is sneaky. Hops. He has aerial stuff going for him. I view him more as kind of like a Rick Steiner type. He has the big beefy clotheslines and the suplexes and the power lifts and things like that. Yeah. We've been told where this Tony Storm story is going. If Vince does not interfere. Can I get a little canny here, Chris?
I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yes, let's see how this plays out, Kenny. That's your line. Don't blow your damn line. I only put you on the show to do the cliches, and you don't know the cliches, Kenny.
Well, if you want, I could come and do a guest spot on the show next week if you'd like. I hear you need a co-host.
No.
I'm very available. Would you like? I've been working on my stand-up too. Would you like to hear some of it later?
Sure. Actually, let's do it now. Let's hear your stand-up now, Kenny.
Absolutely. Okay, so here. Recently, thank you. First of all, you guys are all a terrific audience. It's great to be here tonight. Recently, I was looking into getting a new job. You know what job I was looking into getting?
No.
Cannabis farmer. Having a hard time dating lately, Jeff.
Shut up.
Do you ever date?
Shut up.
Okay,
Shut
well,
up.
I like to think of myself as a bit of a fruit. Cantaloupe.
Oh,
Can't get it? Cantaloupe.
You prepped for this. No. No more Canny. I don't unless Cody wants to do it next week. You prepped. Oh my god. Oh, okay. NXT. The hell with this. Yeah, as I was saying, it seemed like the theme of Yellow Ropes with sports entertainment was veterans being thrown in there with young kids of size. That's what's in that Duke Hudson match went way too long for my liking. Way
too long. No, I completely agree. Like, it was long. Hudson didn't show me anything.
Working the leg.
Working the leg. Gotta work the leg. It was just, it was a dirge is what it was. It just absolutely boring stuff. Kyle O'Reilly is just stuck nowhere, man. Nowhere. Like, this is not a main event guy. And I don't think anyone thinks Kyle O'Reilly's any credible threat to challenge Samoa Joe and beat him. And I mean, that's part of the problem with belting Joe, too. Is it's like, now people are going to want Joe to hold on to the title. You have to have a heel come in and beat him, and just try to get heat on him. But that leaves Kyle O'Reilly nowhere.
Gargano and LA Knight was a match that happened. Dexter Lumis is fine being a presence. I'm fine with him. I
gotta be honest. I even enjoy all the Gargano family stuff.
Yes.
I enjoy it. I think it's funny. Like, I think Gargano's funny, and Index is stupid, but whatever. I get what it is, and it is what it is, and all of that's fine. It's just that this isn't yielding interesting matches in the ring.
No, it's not, and also not being interesting is RKEO in the back.
No, but the worst part about that was Zoe Stark with this "I would take a bullet for Io Shirai" thing, and
I hate you.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
not a response to that.
The only way this story needs to play out at this point for me is Zoe Stark turns on Io because she's like, "I have tried with you, dude. I really tried with you."
The sympathetic heel. She's you're gonna make Zoe Stark a sympathetic heel. Okay.
I think the problem too is the live audience. You saw this with Mandy Rose. Live audience has got a mind of its own here too, and so WWE is going to really be kind of booking against the wind here a little bit.
The origin story of Mandy Rose's Two-Face, the Saray drop kicks. I kind of howled at it, but it's just like if she. Rumor is it's to get her out for a nose job, but if they bring her back as Harvey Dent, I'm kind of here. Just half her face is scarred. Look at me. I used to be.
She does a Malachi Black thing, yes. And she has the blacked out eye.
Sure, why not? Let's go camp with her because I don't think either of the two.
No, because to that point, it would be the only way it would make the two goons coherent with the leader of the squad. Because right now the goons don't make any sense. So Mandy needs to be like Twisted Mandy or something.
Yeah. But the other half of that EO promo, the Lollipop Guild of Caden Carter. And
we're
Casey
best
Cantor.
friends, and it's not an act.
It's not an act, even though we talk like we've never met each other in our entire lives, and I hug just to make it look like we're actually friends, even though she's not reciprocating on the hug, all that. But it is Mysterio family theater. That's what this is. I think they're members of the Mysterio family.
They're awful.
They're terrible.
Caden Carter is just being dragged down into oblivion in this act. And I gotta tell you, Raquel Gonzalez kind of stinks too. She's not bad in the ring, but this character
I like these people. I liked Casey and Caden for a while, and now it's just they haven't progressed since I liked them. And the same with Raquel Gonzalez in many ways. I mean, I liked the Kaylee Ray sit down. I thought that all I can think of was she's gonna have a few extra syllables in there. She's Scottish. It's gonna happen. But I think Raquel's gonna need to raise her game to stay on the stick with
no, I just see the crowd maybe turning on this. When they do this, I see the crowd going with Kaylee as the face and Raquel as the heel, and that's in part because of unsteady I like to call it regional booking. Yeah, regional booking, Canny. That's exactly what's going on there.
Canny will be at Kazi's on Friday night in Newport News. Then we get to NXT UK. I didn't have anything else for NXT. Did you?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nathan Frazier, the Jake Atlas of NXT UK. The kid who could have had the world on a silver platter. AEW begging him to come in. Hot match on AEW Dark. Losing to Teo in this Commonwealth Cup contenders match. The problem I have with WWE, amongst many, because it's a list, we take young stars, we hype them up, and we beat them, and we beat them, and we beat them, and we beat them, and we wonder, when we decide to push them finally, why nobody cares about them. See Humberto Carrillo. See Angel Garza, who has disappeared from television. See Montez Ford, who was stuck in mid-card tag team feuds up until now. See Nathan Frazier. See Tyler Bate. I just, we almost had it with Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov came very, very close in the rebuild to just be, look, you're whining. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it kind of thing. With people turning on him, I think. The whole he had to go through Gallus type of feud could have killed Ilya Dragunov very, very easily if it were in front of a live crowd. We're lucky it wasn't. But why are we beating Nathan Frazier like this? That's what I don't get. I mean, why are we not making a star out of him? Any thoughts or no?
Look, you're more down on Teomon than I am. I actually really like Teomon.
What did I call him? I call him Man Teo?
You called him Teo. You just called him Teo.
No, I was thinking Manti Teo, formerly of Notre Dame, who had the invisible girlfriend for a while, if you remember that story.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
that's
I like Teo, man.
I think he's got a lot to offer. I just wouldn't have had Nathan Frazier in this match. I get that you need to build them up. You need to build Teomon up to beat Tyler Bate.
Pointing to his eye and stuff.
Yeah, look, I liked him more before he had the hench guy too.
Yeah,
I liked
before he
him
became
more.
Aleister Black / cult leader. Yeah,
he was more fun when he was like chaotic neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think like that's a really cool space for him particularly to occupy. And I think it works, especially with the way they tape NXT UK. You can actually keep the character there at that chaotic neutral thing. I'm interested in the Teomon versus Bate match, so like that's cool for me. But look, Nathan Frazier made mistakes here. Mistakes were made by Nathan Frazier.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
On the same show where you have Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff, who I like as a team. I'm not gonna lie, they're a fun little team to watch. Saxon Huxley has to find two partners to go against. I like to call them the team formerly known as the Hunt. Symbiosis, Eddie Dennis. I'm so,
Tyson T-Bone and the Gorilla.
And the Primate.
Primate.
Yeah. Very sad that the Wild Boar has not made his magnificent return yet to get his revenge. It saddens me. I'm hoping he's getting new teeth.
But like Boar and Huxley would actually be a fun tag team too.
They would.
I'm in for that.
But if you are Saxon Huxley, on my radar as most improved in 2021. You're looking around the NXT UK Performance Center for winners to help you take on this team of Symbiosis. You're looking around, you're seeing guys working out. You have Sam Gradwell. You have your Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff. You even have Gallus if you wanted to take a couple of those boys into a fight with you.
But here's the thing about all those guys. None of those guys, none of them, not a single one of them, is friends with Kofi Kingston.
Bootleg Kofi and the Whoop guy.
WrestleMania champion. Kofi Kingston. Oliver, what's his face? They're buds.
Oliver, what's his face? Bootleg Kofi and Whoop guy. Really? We're gonna do this again. I thought we were breaking them up originally. They whoop. I thought we were breaking this team up with the he couldn't make it today or whatever. Nope. We're back to being friends. Okay. Saxon Huxley should just go it alone. At this point, it's better than having these two in his corner. Yeah, okay, good. I guess. I weep for the future of NXT UK because we got Tyler Bate and Mustache Mountain just doing a lot of nothing. I think Noam Dar's pretty good. I think this women's division lost a lot with Kaylee Ray leaving. But, you got Mako and Ginny in there, and then you have whatever the hell they're going to do with Nathan Frazier. But I don't see a future in this thing. And I like a lot of these matches.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like I don't see a future in it. I mean, I'll watch it until they shut it down because it tends to yield good matches and like it's not overproduced or anything. And so people go in there and they'd have good work. Look, the Amel and Shazza McKenzie match, not transcendent, but like quality, like that. Like it was a quality match. It's what I want out of an hour of wrestling.
Going from things I'm a little down on to things I am excited about. We are transitioning to AEW. Had another good week in terms of the ratings as well. Look, Raw and SmackDown. I think SmackDown was up and NXT was up. Everybody was up across the board, which is a good thing. Now, we may be down on the product, but I'm happy to see viewership. Viewership's going to die once football starts, I think, in terms of Monday nights.
And Raw still has some underlying fundamentals that concern you, like the fact that they only hit 1.9. Like, that's not, I mean, up, yes, but you really want to see them above 2. At one point, I was taking heat for this earlier this week. There's a difference between 1.9 and 2, and it's more than 100,000. There's something like, and executives look at it the same way. There's a difference between 900,000 and 1 million, and executives don't just think of it as another 100,000. It's more than that to them. This downward trend that WWE is on is a problem for them.
Yeah, but we are going to our all-out preview show I'm very excited about. We will do a little Dynamite and Rampage talk as we go along because I think everything we want to hit is within this. Sorry, I was responding to a note somebody got, but we have, let's see, 10 matches total, including your pre-show. Again, Andrade, El Idolo, and Pac was originally scheduled, is now off the card. The Casino Battle Royale being upgraded to the main card, and we start with a 10-man tag team match for the pre-show. Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and the Jurassic Express of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt, who got sprayed in the face, something fierce, and somehow recovered, versus the Hardy Family Office, the Masters of Evil of AEW, where every single B villain goes to join. You have Matt Hardy, Private Party of Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, and the Hybrid 2, one of my favorite tag teams, and Helico and the vastly underutilized on the stick Jack Evans. Chris, is there any possibility other than the Best Friends winning this and giving the people what they want at the end?
Yeah, I don't see why the Hardy Family Office would win this, and the Hardy Family Office does not need the win, and this is an opener match, so yeah, of course the Best Friends are winning.
Okay. Cool. I think Jungle Boy will get the pin to make up for the fact that they are not in the tag team match later.
A mistake, I might add. If we're talking about booking pattern mistakes going into this pay-per-view, and I want to get some of those in, look, I just think while Penta and Phoenix are great wrestlers, and Penta, certainly knows how to he knows how to have big match Penta matches still.
Yes.
I'm sure they will have a big match. But Jungle Boy, this pay-per-view's Mondo, and Danielson's going to be at this pay-per-view. Like, eyes are going to be on this pay-per-view. This is such a great time to make Jungle Boy, and there's no need to make Phoenix, and there's no need to make Penta, because there's no plan to elevate them any higher in the card than maybe tag team champions at some point, maybe as early as this show. But like, that's where they're slotted on this card, and where they should be slotted, because now you have people like Punk and Danielson who are main eventers who need to be in main event types of positions. So Jungle Boy is the only person in that tag division that I see who really should be getting heated up to eventually make the rise to be working with a Punk, to be working with a Danielson. And it should be happening on this show, which is going to be a landmark milestone show. So I do think that it is a mistake going into this show that it's not Penta and Phoenix in this match and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, I guess, in the cage match.
After watching Dynamite in that main event, my issue with Penta is he has an on and off switch that you definitely see. And that first half,
he's like a Nakamura type.
I call him snarkily sports entertainment Penta because he's doing the Cerro Miedo just over and over and over again. And then halfway through the match, he decides, oh yeah, I need to show people what I'm known for. I don't fear Penta like I used to. He's not a presence. Like I know he's become a kind of a sing-along act, and I'd like to see him go back to his roots and be that scary monster that looked in my eyes in a American Legion Hall and made me fear for my life. That's what I want out of Penta.
Yeah, dude, I remember him being legitimately like the first time I saw him was on Lucha Underground when I was being a reviewer for Lucha Underground. I was like, oh, whoa, who is this guy? He's like freaky. I think like this dude legitimately has a screw loose. Like he's one of these hardcore wrestlers who like really likes the part where they're bleeding all over the place. Like I remember that Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. match. That was intense. That dude was going all out. And like this version of Penta, it's WWE Nakamura for me. If you like it, I get it, but that also sort of tells me that you're not really familiar with Nakamura's New Japan work.
In the Casino Battle Royal, we'll talk about the cage match in a little bit, because it may go on last. I'll ask you what match you think goes on last after we talk about the Battle Royal. Right now, we have 21 competitors already booked with the possibility of a TBD. I am of the opinion that your Joker is going to be Ruby Soho, so I'm going to include her in this lineup. But Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, The Bunny, Big Swole, Julia Hart, Tay Conti, Diamante, Penelope Ford, Red Velvet, Hikaru Shida, Emi Sakura, Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, Abaddon, Layla Hirsch, Kylan King, Rebel, Jamie Hayter, Anna Jay, who returned on Wednesday, Riho, who was announced, I believe, via social media, Sky Blue, who was announced during the Dark tapings, I believe. Tony Khan said he impressed her so much, she'll be in the thing, and TBD, who I assume will be Ruby Soho. I will put it to you this way, Chris. Who is going to be the one of the 22 who will not be making it into this Battle Royal? And then who is your winner who will get a chance to face the winner of Britt Baker / Chris Statlander?
Oh, God, it could be anyone. I'm going to say Kiera Hogan. Sorry, Kiera.
Just for fun, Chris.
I'm just singling her out. It's Hogan. It's got to be Hogan.
I am going to go with Rebel. I think she is the least necessary in this whole thing, unless they're going to do a Hater Rebel. Can they get along with?
Well, I think Rebel probably is in this because after the Hater and Britt left Rebel out to dry spot in the Rampage setup here tonight, I think there's probably going to be some more falling out between Rebel and Hater, and that there needs to be a little bit more tension kind of built out for there.
I can also see them getting Thunder Rosa out of here so that you don't beat her even after the Wednesday beatdown type of thing. This way she doesn't have to get eliminated in the Battle Royal. I could see that happening here. Who do you have winning? Because I also have Thunder Rosa possibly winning this whole thing and going after Britt Baker again. But I will let you go first with your winner.
I'm going to go Hater. I think that, I mean,
this
look.
soon to start doing the tension with Britt?
Okay, well,
no,
thank you. No. I'm with you on this, and I'm glad you brought this up. Look, as I brought up last week, and people apparently paid attention to, Britt Baker is not a regional babyface. She's a national babyface, and her face turn should be completed. The addition of Jamie Hayter as the heavy, and also the fairly heavy foreshadowing about the tensions between Hayter and Britt Baker, coupled with this further foreshadowing tonight on Rampage, where Hayter leaves Rebel out to dry, suggests that Hayter is very much in it for herself. I think that it is time to turn Britt Baker face, which is what I was saying about the Britsburg incident in turning Red Velvet heel, because Red Velvet, I don't know if you've noticed, has not recovered back to
she was booed tonight.
She was booed tonight yet again
at dark tapings. Yeah,
she's just a regional heel. It's just a regional thing. And that was my point at the show. It's not about belting Red Velvet, a person who's probably not ready for the belt. It's about turning Britt Baker face, and a way to do that is screwing her out of the title. There are many ways to do that, but the obvious project at this point, and the tension that the crowd is not going along with, and this is the most important reason why I make this case about turning Red Velvet heel and turning Britt Baker face. You gotta go with the flow of your crowd and stop booking against where the audience is at. The audience not booing Malachi Black. You're gonna have to try harder if you're gonna keep doing that. The audience not booing Britt Baker. They are booing Red Velvet. If you want Red Velvet to be a face, if you think that that's right, I hope you have some sort of plan in your mind as to how Red Velvet becomes a babyface again, because I'm not seeing it right now. Ditto with Britt Baker. They would have to try a hell of a lot harder and really book against what their fan base wants to have Britt Baker continue to be a heel. That was my point last week. That point has only been bolstered week in, week out with the way that Britt Baker is received by the audiences when she comes out, and the way Red Velvet is received by the audiences when she comes out. So yeah, I would have Hayter win this because they've been booking in the wrong direction with Britt Baker for weeks now, and it's time to realize that they've made a mistake and correct the error.
I see one of three people winning this. It's either going to be the returning Anna Jay, because we're going to try and see what we have with the new kid. It's going to be either that, time to heat up Riho again, because they love Riho in this.
Is Tay Conti in this battle royal?
Tay Conti's in this battle royal as well.
Might be her.
But I'm going to go with someone that is going to make your whole Britt Baker rant more difficult. Going with Jade Cargill. I think they're going to make her the number one contender, so that you're going to continue to get these cheers for Britt Baker, but they want somebody that you can actually boo against Britt Baker. So I think they're going to go with Jade Cargill here.
Well, that'll be just great for Jamie Hayter, won't it? Because surely along the way here, there will never be a match wherein Jamie Hayter has to go up against Jade Cargill. So that would be a very smart choice. I think they should do that.
I might need to change my mind. Man, Tay Conti would be interesting. I think it's going to be...
And once again, you're in the cul-de-sac where Tay Conti, who is just starting to get heat up, is now going to go up against the meat grinder that is regional heel Britt Baker.
No, screw it. Let's give Ruby Soho the win.
That would be a smart move, too. If there's any chance in actually keeping her heel, or actually getting some sort of a heel reaction out of Britt Baker, and I'm not convinced that there is, Ruby Soho, with these phenomenal video packages they've been giving her, might actually be able to be an underdog to play against Britt Baker's ill casting right now.
Yeah, I'll go with Ruby Soho, and I think it's going to finally going to right the fact that Britt Baker's a heel and to get her to stop being cheered. I think that's the right move. Up next, Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima in a singles match. I think this is just going to be a carbon copy of Jon Moxley versus Blue Army, older guy that they brought in from New Japan. And I had his name written down and I forgot it all.
Yuji Nagata.
Thank you.
Blue Army older guy.
I'm sorry. That's all I can remember. Look, as I get older, my memory goes, Chris. I'm sorry. Moxley, of course, wins this. It's going to be hard hitting, all that other stuff. I am not the biggest Kojima fan in the world, I will admit. The tag team in New Japan was kind of middling on the years that I was really addicted to him. I saw him in his prime and I loved him. We're getting older Kojima. This will be a good match. I think the crowd will like it. I'm not sure they will love it, but they'll be very respectful of the veteran, as they are wont to be. This is a very ECW type of crowd. And I think Moxley goes over fairly strong, and maybe we get a hint of who's next in the New Japan canon to come face Jon Moxley.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it's going to go. And there's nothing wrong with having a predictable match. Kojima should not win this match.
Correct.
And there should be a respect gesture at the end of this. And it keeps Moxley looking strong. And that's great.
Paul White versus QT Marshall with Aaron Solo and Nick Comoroto in his corner.
I'll tell you, this is the match I'm looking the most forward to on the show. I got to be honest. I know there are other things on the card, but this one's going to be a hot one.
Well, what I want you to talk about was your anger at the Gun Club turn, because you didn't like that at all.
Yeah, okay, so this is another one that has been, let's be real here, in objective measure, not booked very well. The match last week on Rampage featured the Gun Club, and it was Gun Club going up against QT Marshall. The Gun Club pinned QT Marshall going into this week's Dynamite. So they needed to do something to get QT's heat back. Presumably, QT would have some sort of plan up his sleeve. That's not really what happened here, though. Like, the Gun Club came in and they attacked Paul White, but they walked off and they walked past QT and they didn't really do a meaningful acknowledgement of QT. Could they retcon this, I guess, going into the show and say that now the Gun Club is aligned with QT Marshall? Yeah, it's probably a week late for that, right? Like, there are some real question marks of, like, are the Gun Club just doing their own thing now, or are they actually aligned with QT Marshall and the Nightmare Factory or whatever he's calling his thing now? That was left open. So I thought this added an unnecessary third character into this story that's supposed to be between Paul White and QT Marshall. It didn't really do a good job of getting QT's heat back, and it would have been much more intriguing to leave the question open of how is QT going to somehow win this match, or like what is QT's plan going into this pay-per-view. You've instead removed that intrigue, and Paul White's hurt, and so we know what QT's plan is: exploit the hurt guy at the pay-per-view. Far less interesting. If you wanted to do the beatdown, do the beatdown right prior to the match. Doing it here didn't add more intrigue to the match. It made the idea that QT Marshall is going to win this match seem all the more likely. And if Paul White somehow ekes this out, it makes QT Marshall look like a total goober, because he got pinned going into this match and he got pinned in this match. That's not good for them, and Paul White does not need to be winning this match. So you really wanted to make Paul White look strong going into this match, not QT Marshall.
I think the two kids should have jumped Billy Gunn and then jumped Paul White. I don't think Billy Gunn needs heat at 56 years old. I think his kids need to be pushed a little bit to see what they can do, as opposed to that.
They make sense as heels. Like, yes. I mean, you look at them and they're not baby faces, they're heels. So I'm fine with them as heels. I'm with you. Like, why does Billy Gunn need the heat? And why does he need the heat of all things going into a match that he's not in?
That said, I think QT Marshall finds a way to screw Paul White out of this, and maybe Mark Henry makes the save. Maybe. But I do believe the Gun Club get involved, and we call QT Marshall a bastard, and we move on, and this feud must continue. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about Mark Henry, too. That Henry comes down, and that's how this feud evolves.
Chris Jericho versus MJF, with the stipulation that if Jericho loses, he must retire from in-ring competition, and he has said he is going into the commentary booth. Now, to get this one in real quick, I liked the MJF promo. I loved the FTR Proud and Powerful tag team match. A few hiccups in there a little bit, but overall, I thought that match was sublime. I thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Dear God, do not let Chris Jericho lose this match, because I don't want to hear him on commentary on every show.
The worst part was tonight when he was being self-referential about the fact that he's just going to scream into the microphone every time he's on commentary.
He says, I'm going to walk back to that commentary desk on Wednesday. I'm like, God, you're making me want to root for you. Don't do this to me.
And it was a great promo or whatever from Jericho by his standards, but the threat of him on the microphone, I like, he's bad. He's bad on commentary. He doesn't play a character that's really constructive on the babyface side of the ledger, nor on the heel side of the ledger, and he doesn't do play-by-play. Like, he is just absolute screaming and just, like, added noise to a booth that's already loaded with too many people.
there's a chance that this show might have a lot of overbooking, and I think this match is going to be one of them. And I think Sammy Guevara is somehow getting involved with this to help Jericho win.
Yes, and then that sets up the MJF Sammy feud.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sure. At least then Sammy will be sparing us from Chris Jericho on commentary. I think the stipulation should be if he wins, he's never allowed to do commentary again.
Yes. And what is my favorite feud and my favorite build on this card? And God, tonight got me so hyped for this match because your boy Hawkins here, he loves being talked into the building and he loves him some promos. And two of the best in AEW right now at doing promos are Miro and Eddie Kingston. Miro is locked in to this born from God enforcer type, religious zealot. Eddie Kingston, pretty fantastic with both the crowd work and the reply and making it seem like a fight. I am hyped. I am stoked. And I want Miro to stay champion. I love Eddie Kingston. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he should take the belt away from Miro. I think Miro's too good right now.
I agree. I think Kingston needs to take Miro to the limit. I think Kingston's plan needs to be shown to be effective, but I don't think Kingston needs to win this belt right now. I think Kingston is a guy who absolutely should get main event title pushes and stuff. Like, look, the guy's just a transcendent talent. You want to see this guy up against CM Punk. You want to see this guy up against Danielson. You want to see this guy up against...
You want to see this guy talk in that feud.
Yeah.
Wait. Miro or Eddie Kingston?
I'm talking about Kingston.
Okay, yeah. Eddie Kingston is going to be able to talk his way into any main event feud.
Any main event feud and get you to want to see that match. And you know what? He'll work his ass off in the match. He's not like, is he like, a 5-star in-ring guy? No, but like he tells a great story. He, he's definitely giving and he's definitely willing to get. And like, I just really enjoy Eddie Kingston's promos. I thought tonight, it was great. Obviously, like redeem these nuts. Sure, that was funny too.
I want a shirt. I want a shirt.
Yeah. No, like it was everything. Because a lot of that stuff was just flowing, and he was reading the crowd and stuff, and sort of flowing. When he got like a little bit of, oh, don't say that about God. Like Kingston's like, all right, I'm going further on it.
Well, not only that, he does that. He's wearing multiple rosary beads, so he's talking about Miro's God, but he's bringing in the simping for the atheists, as I say. So someone pointed out that he said, I don't believe in your God, and then he took off multiple rosary beads to go beat up Miro. He's just hedging his bets, which I love.
Hey, Pascal's wager is still very popular.
So do you have Miro keeping the title?
Yeah, I got Miro keeping the title. I don't think that it makes sense for Eddie Kingston to win the belt right now. So I think Miro's got to win. Dr.
Britt Baker, DMD, taking out with Rebel and probably Jamie Hayter, unless she wins this Battle Royal, versus Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's World Title. It's not time to take the title off of Britt. I'm sure Chris will have a decent match. I'm not the biggest Chris Statlander fan. I just don't want them to get too cute on the spots. That's all.
The only intrigue for me is, does the crowd actually embrace who's the baby face and who's the heel here? Or do they not understand the regional rule?
You were harping on this region.
I just want to make sure people understand where I'm coming from.
So what match goes on last? The tag team match in the cage. CM Punk and Darby Allin or Omega and Cage?
Man, if you don't close with Punk and Darby Allin, you're doing it wrong. I think that Cage and Omega will flounder trying to follow Punk and Darby. And like the close of this show needs to be Darby and Punk and CM Punk's music playing and pumping through the stadium. Crowd's going crazy. Sting's in there. Punk shakes Sting's hand. Punk shakes Darby's hand. Like that needs to be the close of this show.
Okay.
And you also have to still plan someplace to have Danielson's debut here somewhere in the middle of the show.
Then we'll do that last. We'll go with the steel cage match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. The Young Bucks of Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson with Brandon Cutler probably taking on the Lucha Brothers, Penta Zero Miedo, or I'm saying that wrong probably, and Ray Phoenix. I'm not good with Spanish. I'm sorry. And Alex Abrahantes. I think the Lucha Brothers are your new tag team champions. I think they're transitional champs. I think it's a way to get it off of the Bucks, and then eventually the Lucha Brothers, I think, lose to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus probably, or maybe Proud and Powerful, or somebody. I think it's time for the Young Bucks to lose the titles, though.
I think so as well. I mean, I think we need to have a decline of the elite angle going on here at some point, because you just need to open up the main event picture to have things beyond the elite and Kenny Omega. You now look, the elite, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes were really essential for when they were launching this brand. But now they have other big stars that they're bringing in. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole. You have other people you want to build inside of the company. Jungle Boy, for example. And it is important to start getting the elite downcycled out of the main event picture and driving so much of the narrative, because I think the ratings are going to start to show this too. CM Punk is the bigger draw, and so more narrative needs to be pushed through him. And in order to do that, that's going to require television time being taken from other things. And right now, one of the biggest, in my opinion, time sucks is like the obligatory Kenny Omega and Young Bucks and Cyrus the Virus promo that we get every week.
So you have Lucha Brothers winning this as well?
Yeah, I do.
Speaking of the elite, Kenny Omega, your AEW World Champion, taking on Christian Cage. Now, everybody and their mother thinks this is a foregone conclusion that Kenny Omega is going to be Christian Cage. What is your percentage that Cage wins this?
Oh, that's interesting. I still got it pretty low, because I think, especially if you got Penta and Phoenix getting the titles and you're thinking Jungle Boy is going to become a tag team champion, here's my twist. I think he does it with Christian, not Luchasaurus.
Okay, that'll work too. I'll take that. I'm intrigued by this because everything screams Kenny Omega in just a rout and a decent match. Don't get me wrong. If I'm Tony Khan, I at least have it in the back of my head that maybe I just give them the biggest swerve in the world and I put this title on Christian, and then I have Christian lose to Hangman or to Punk. Or to Danielson.
It would be a really bold move to make the fall of the elite happen at All Out when no one sees it coming. To have the 1-2 punch of the Bucks and Omega both lose the titles,
yes,
like back to back. I mean, especially with like Danielson coming in, the Punk match. You're talking about putting so much news, and this is a big milestone pay-per-view. So like, this would be the time to do it. Making Christian Cage a double champion, a bold move, but Christian Cage has shown that he can do the type of matches that they need, especially to get this. He's going to be a transitional champion here, y'all. To get them through wherever they're trying to get to. He's totally the right guy to do it. He's a trusted hand. And when you want to get the belt off him to build your next big heel or whatever, to set up the Danielson, the Punk sorts of feuds and stuff, Cage is the right guy to have that kind of match, and he'll be super sympathetic. I don't hate the move. I'm pessimistic that it's going to happen just because my gut says, like, Jungle Boy is going to be cruising to the tag titles here at some point. They're going to be late on it, but, like, they're going to get there. And I tend to think, look, we've seen Luchasaurus, and we've seen a lot of Luchasaurus, and he's not bad, but he's
Chris,
not great.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm trolling everybody. The chances of that happening are 10%.
Yeah.
Although it did cross about, yeah, Kenny Omega's winning this, and he's going to continue to be the champion. Although I'm looking forward to this match a little bit more than most. Christian Cage is very, very good, but to me, I watch him and I go, my problem with watching Christian matches a lot of times are he's doing the moves very smoothly, but there's no bad intent on the moves. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't feel like he's putting any malice into these moves that he's doing. It feels like he's just kind of doing the moves. Although I do like Christian a lot. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, he's got to kind of work from babyface, kind of angle. But like, I guess the real proof in the pudding there would be like if he goes heel, do those snap suplexes have a little bit of a snarl on them, or are they still kind of the thing that he's doing right now? They're very, as you're saying, smooth, safe. They look good. They're formally correct, but they don't necessarily have any stink on them.
CM Punk versus Darby Allin, and we'll probably close the night out. I expect this to close the night out. I expect at the end of the night that probably 2.0 and Daniel Garcia come out and try and pummel everybody who's participating in this match. And maybe Daniel Bryan makes the save. Bryan Danielson, sorry, don't want to use his WWE name any longer. Chris, it's your returning legend who gets you all the buzz in his hometown or near it, Rosemont, Illinois, near Chicago, suburban Chicago, versus your hottest young star. Probably. And I mean, unless you consider Adam Page a young star, and he is, but I mean, just the guy who is bringing you a lot of juice in this promotion. Do you have the balls to beat CM Punk in Rosemont to end your first pay-per-view? And are you able to pull off a mutual respect handshake at the end? I don't know. I've thought about this, but I think Darby Allin goes over on this match.
Boy, if they do that, it would be a major mistake.
Really?
Look, yes. Darby is a made man. He has his best friend, Sting. He's already got the respect of CM Punk. The whole premise of this match is that Punk wants to have a match with Darby Allin because he's got so much respect for Darby Allin. He came down and he made the save on Darby Allin tonight. This is all about elevating Darby Allin. He doesn't need to win this match to be elevated.
Okay.
They made it very, very clear on that front. And I think that this match, because he'll be sort of like a soft heel during this match, gives Darby an opportunity during the middle of this match here to show a bit of an additional mean streak and show what like that next level that he's got in him. But at the end of the night here, the right answer is to be playing in the background. Crowd's going crazy. CM Punk 2.0 comes down there, gets a GTS, gets a coffin drop, gets a stinger death drop. Maybe Bryan Danielson comes down there too, and the crowd's going yes, yes,
well,
yes.
Sting's not going to be at ringside, remember.
But this is at the end of the night.
Okay.
This is after the match is over, and
Fair
CM
enough.
Punk has won. Now
Okay.
Sting comes down to the ringside. There's a big mutual respect angle. Darby gets elevated in the Lost earnestly because it's not like Darby's going up against Miro again anytime soon. And it's not like Darby's in the title chase right now either. So like Darby would need this win if Darby's next move was going after Kenny Omega's title. But right now, that doesn't feel like the move. And even if they did this, I don't know that he'd be ready to go for Omega's title. And if that's like sort of like remotely a debate, like if we're not saying like if there's like a side A and side B on that question, then you absolutely should not have Darby Allin winning this match. So if they do this, I consider it to be malpractice. And if they did it, I imagine it actually would flop in front of this audience.
All right, you changed my mind. I think CM Punk wins. For some reason, I thought Darby had to go over because I thought it was going to be veteran wanting to put over the young kid, and that was the whole point of this thing. But I mean, there are good arguments for both, but you can't do this in Rosemont on his return on his first match.
No. I mean, so how would you beat Punk? Would you have Punk get beaten by a small package? Or would you have Punk take a coffin drop and lay prone in the middle of the ring on his first match back? When he said all through his go-home promo that and even on commentary tonight, that the question is, can Punk do it? It has nothing to do with Darby Allin. The entire story of this match is, does Punk still have what it takes? If he loses, the story of the match is, no. It's just like when you were in MMA. Go home, buddy.
Someone ruins the match. It can't be 2.0 and Daniel Garcia at this point, but it could be Bryan Danielson. It could be Adam Cole if you wanted it to. And he hits Punk. Darby doesn't know this. Gets rolled in the ring, and you don't want to win like this, whatever, blah blah blah. But you could do that. I don't think they will do that. I'm just gonna change my answer and try not to feel like an idiot. CM Punk wins this, and we get a big hug spot to end the night, hopefully. That's going to end it for us, I think. You can follow me at CrapGame13. Again, I'll be doing an all-out review on Fight Game Media over on Patreon. You can join. I believe it's patreon.com/FightGameMedia. Chris, who will be out next week, can be followed at DWATG. That stands for Don't Worry About the Government, his rollicking political podcast that he does weekly for his Patreon viewers at don'tworry.tv, correct?
That is correct. Don'tWorry.tv, patreon.com/DWATG. You can go and check it out. Just a couple of notes here as we close out the show. This episode, I'm going to be out of town next week for the funeral of my grandmother. This episode is dedicated in loving memory to my grandmother, whose deep obsession with the O.J. Simpson trial and television news and other idiosyncratic obsessive habits most assuredly rubbed off on her grandson, although in very sort of through the looking glass kind of ways. I can't help but see many key aspects of my personality in her. I will love her always, and I hope wherever she is right now, she's very happy, and that the O.J. Simpson trial is once again on, and she can yell at that nasty Judge Ito, who she loathes so very much. The other note here at the end of this show, last week I relayed a story about a professional acquaintance who had COVID-19 and did not get vaccinated and was in the hospital. Last week, about 12 hours after we taped the show, Drew passed. So I want to dedicate, look, we didn't have the best relationship. I'm going to just be completely upfront on that. But I want to dedicate this episode in memory to Drew Dana. I hope wherever you are finding some sort of peace, and I hope more importantly that your family finds peace and is able to get through this. And for those of you who are on the fence about getting vaccinated and doing what it takes to try to be as safe as possible with this, I hope his story serves as a cautionary tale.
See you next week for the Jeff and Cody Show.